Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share something a bit different, not the usual praise about Germany, but a more honest look at some of the negative sides I've encountered living here as a foreigner. Recently I had a very serious and stressful experience at the Uniclinic Frankfurt. I'm pregnant at the moment and I started having at some point worrying symptoms, which was bleeding and pain that could indicate a miscarriage. And I went to the emergency department expecting urgent attention. But after waiting for 2 hours, I was simply sent away. The doctor in charge was a German lady who never spoke to me directly. Instead, a nurse delivered a message saying I was okay and I should come back the next day. No explanation, no empathy, no real care. I tried to argue with them, of course, but that ended up in a very horrible argument where I had to prove that I need care and they just dismissed me, so I just left. I made a video about this experience and posted it on social media and it went viral on Instagram. It got most of the views because it was full of comments, and unfortunately many of those comments revealed a harsh reality. A lot of Germans, including some non-native Germans, which surprised me living in Germany, reacted with hate, harassment and discrimination towards me as a foreigner. This simply showed me how some Germans can be very defensive and even hostile when foreigners criticize their country or their system. It also highlighted an ongoing problem of xenophobia and online hate speech in Germany, where anti-immigrant sentiments often surface strongly on social media. And this thing actually triggered me to make this video on YouTube about the negative sides of living in Germany, and mostly it's about the sides of Germans themselves. It's also true that Germans love to complain about politics, bureaucracy, or everyday life whatsoever. Complaining almost feels like a national pastime, but this complaining is usually internal or among themselves. When an outsider criticizes, it's a different story. They tend to shut down or respond with defensiveness rather than open dialogue. Next, let's talk about some workplace experience I had in Germany. Germans pride themselves on being direct, but this directness can sometimes come off as rude or even passive aggressive. For example, instead of addressing an issue openly, they might leave anonymous notes or avoid confrontation, but then complain behind your back. I experienced this firsthand at my job in a big finance corporate in Frankfurt. A mature German female colleague didn't like me, and instead of telling me directly, she started mobbing me and complaining behind my back without any real reason. She seemed to think she had connections to the department head and used that perceived power to undermine me. And this kind of backstabbing and passive aggressive behavior is unfortunately not uncommon in German workplaces, where hierarchical structures and pressure can fuel toxic dynamics. One of the most striking things I've noticed is how Germans react when a country or system is criticized, especially by foreigners. Instead of engaging constructively, many respond with hostility or dismissive comments. This defensiveness can feel like a wall that's hard to break through, making honest conversations really difficult. Now, let's talk about cultural barriers and language. I've heard many stories from expats, and I had it also myself, about how customer service or public officials treat foreigners rudely or dismissively, especially if their German is not perfect. I personally had also an experience at a restaurant where a waiter just interrupted me while I was speaking German and trying to make an order in German, because I've heard this recommendation so many times. I just have to practice, be less shy, and that's what I was trying to do. But instead, he just interrupted me in the middle of me trying to make my order in German, and he just said, let's switch to English. I mean, yes, he was trying maybe to be polite, but I know that there is also another side to that, because lots of Germans also at work might do that, or even if they don't directly interrupt you, you can see from their face they're really impatient with you to come up with the right words, and like, you need time, right? If it's not your native language. So I would not say that Germans are really patient with foreigners trying to speak German. That's why I usually recommend, unless you're really like fluent, at least B2 C1 level, don't try. That's especially at work or in some places where you really have to be quick, productive, whatsoever. It's not really a place to practice German, probably. Anyways, the point is that this attitude can make everyday interactions stressful for foreigners. Next point is about change. There is a cultural tendency to be skeptical or negative about change, technology, or younger generations. Complaints about video games, smartphones, or new ideas are common in Germany, and sometimes younger people feel dismissed because of their age or different perspectives. This can create a generational divide and slow down innovation or social progress. I guess it will not come to you as a surprise that Germans are super conservative. And the last point I want to make as a bad side of Germans is a focus on rules over empathy. Germans are known for their love of rules and order, which is generally a good thing, of course. It makes Germany Germany. But sometimes this focus can come at the expense of empathy and human connection. Saying sorry or showing warmth isn't as common as you might expect, and politeness can sometimes be mistaken for weakness. And this makes social situations really cold and transactional. That's why in the situation with the hospital, I'm not I don't take all of these excuses where they say the doctors in German hospitals are overwhelmed and there is lots of stress because there is a lack of employees and math stuff, whatever. I don't take it as an excuse, because what happened is that the doctor on duty lacked empathy, and it could be any other woman instead of me. But the thing is, the doctors need empathy, and I just cannot imagine how a person of this profession can let go a pregnant woman worried that she's maybe losing her child right now. And that's what I was trying to tell them, trying to make them understand in that corridor, when I was like so emotional, and I just couldn't realize it's happening to me, because so far I never complained about German healthcare system. I was very satisfied, but I just realized these people lack empathy so much. And in this specific profession, like med staff, doctors, it's critical. You just cannot go there without that. So you really feel misunderstood, you feel cold, you feel like lots of relationships in German society, they might occur as like transactional stuff, like if you give, I give you back, and there is nothing like I can do something for you just because I want it. Why this matters? I'm not saying Germany is a bad country, far from it, of course. It has many strengths, and I love living in Germany, but it's important to show the full picture, including the challenges, especially for foreigners. Recognizing these cultural traits can help us understand each other better and maybe even improve how we interact. Thanks so much for listening to my story and reflections. If you want to hear more about my expat life in Germany, the good, the bad, and the surprising, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'll keep sharing honest insights to help you navigate life here. See you anytime soon. Tschüss.